I just got off work and I've been sitting in traffic for a while, so I figured I might be able to set this up and do something real quick. I kind of wanted to address something that's really important to me, and I kind of want to talk about post-competition dieting and reverse dieting and the mental struggles you go through and things that you'll notice. It's more of a mental struggle, I think, than a physical one after a show, and it's really important. A lot of people don't know that, and they get into doing a competition, and they end up, developing eating disorders and anxieties and all kinds of things. So I kind of wanted to relate to that and tell you about my personal experiences after I had a lot of struggles, probably after my first 3 or 4 shows. After I came out of my diet, I didn't know much about reverse dieting, and would end up, binging and gaining a lot of weight and having some issues with my self-esteem and anxiety, and had developed really unhealthy relationships with food. So I think it's really important to address, and it's something that I've battled through and have been successful at battling through, and I've learned how to, how to reverse diet and build your body back up in a healthy manner and not binge eat. I mean, of course, there's going to be, the cheat meals and whatnot when you can, but to do it directly after a show for an extended period of time is really going to cause some problems. So, first I'll kind of start off saying the hardest time I had, I actually did see a counselor. I went to therapy, and she really helped me. But the hardest thing is you're dieting for, I don't know, depending on the prep, but anywhere from 8 to I know people that have done 24 weeks before, and when you're dieting and working so hard for that long to get down to a weight that isn't sustainable, it's intense. You really have to put in the work, and you really you're proud of what you've built and everything that you've done to get there, and it's a huge source of pride, and your self-esteem and your confidence is sky high, and you've looked the best you've ever looked in your life when you get on stage. And then following the show, you're allowed to have a cheat meal or 2 or whatnot. You end up binging, and especially if you've messed with any salt or any kind of water, you're gonna gain weight pretty quickly. And a lot of it is just water weight. You're not going to be gaining fat. You can gain fat, but obviously you're not going to be gaining, the 10 to 15 pounds of fat in the first week. So you go from looking the best you've ever looked in your life to immediately putting on 10 pounds. And that can really destroy you mentally. And you start developing a really unhealthy relationship with food, because on one end, you've been dieting for so long, and now you feel like you're allowed to have all these foods you weren't before, so you're excited and you want those, and then on top of that, if you have them, it could further destroy your body, and that's kind of the mindset that you get. But it's kind of this push and pull and this uncontrollable urge to eat these foods even after you're full. I mean, I can't tell you the times after a show when I ate until I was full, and then kept eating and to the point where it hurt, and developed the edema, and held ridiculous amounts of water, gained 8 pounds in a night, and that kind of thing. And I've personally gone through a lot of struggles to where the next day or the next week, and I noticed my weight gain, I would go into a grocery store and have, this array of options that I could start adding into my diet, and I would have immediate anxiety because I couldn't decide, what I wanted, or how I was going to work it off, or if I was allowed to have it, or what it would do to my body. So all these things are running through my head. So on one end, I wanted them so badly, but on the other, I thought I knew what it would do to my body and that it would destroy it. So that was extremely hard for me. And throughout my competitions, I'm on number 8 now. You get to a point where, whatever, cool, diet for a couple more weeks and, slowly introduce things in. You're going to have them again. It's not a big deal. It's not like you're never going to enjoy these delicious foods again. But you have to be responsible about it. You have to you have to know that you're gonna have them again, and you're gonna have it into your diet, and you're gonna be able to enjoy all these foods, but just do it in moderation. And if you're like me, it's really difficult if you have, like, one of something. And that's, that's the honest truth with me, is my self-control is ridiculous. I cannot eat this food at all for weeks, but if I have one, or if I taste one or something, it can turn into where I'll binge. And I know that about myself, so I try and be responsible about it, or make it so, what I have access to is limited, and that helps. So I don't keep it in the house, or, if I do have a cheat meal, it's outside the house. It's not something I have constant access to. And I think that's probably the best way to go. When I go grocery shopping, I go in for certain things. I don't think, oh, what am I going to make for dinner? What am I going to make for breakfast? What am I going to make for lunch? Because then I buy all this stuff, and I end up eating it when I'm not supposed to. So that's something to think about if you're like me. It's really important to make sure that you try and do reverse dieting correctly, and if you have a good coach, they're going to be able to talk you through that, or give you a template or some kind of plan to follow after the show, because these preps in this competition, and these plans that you pay for really need to be all encompassing. It can't be just for the show. It has to be like a holistic approach. So before, during, and after. And at least leading you into, a healthy transition out of what you've been doing for weeks and weeks and weeks. So that's kind of my take there. This isn't something to be embarrassed about. I noticed, like a lot of competitors, get uncomfortable when you start talking about it, and developing these eating disorders and these eating anxieties and everything. So I try to be extremely open about my own personal experiences. I never developed anorexia or bulimia. I had more of a binging problem. That was mine. And I've roped it in. I've been able to nail it and get reverse dieting down to where that doesn't happen. And I don't develop crazy anxieties. Of course, I think everyone goes through it a little bit at least. Unless, your rock solid emotions. It's a lot to deal with, and especially your hormones are all over the place, and it's just something to know that everyone deals with it, and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to ask for help. So like I said, I went to therapy and I asked for help, and she did help me, and within a couple weeks I was back to normal. But it's something that was extremely difficult for me, and I was tired of the anxiety. So just want you guys to know it happens, and it's normal, and there's people there to help you. And I hope if you guys ever have questions, reach out to me. But I'm getting distracted now, so I gotta go. Okay, bye.